Hi, I did my podcast episode listening over episode 197, Vocational Training, and the articles discussed in this podcast include job tips, a transition to employment program for individuals with autism. That one is in the Journal of Autism and Development by Strickland, Coles, and Southern. Twins with autism utilizing video feedback to improve job related behaviors in the British Journal of Special Education by Mackey and Nelson from 2015. A qualitative analysis of the employment needs and barriers of individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities from the Journal of Applied Rehabilitation Counseling by Adams, Corbin, O'Hara, Park, Shepard Jones, Butler, and a review of the literature on vocational training, interventions with individuals with autism spectrum disorder, behavioral interventions by Campanart, Vladesky, Menente, Deschais, and Debar of the year 2021. So this podcast is talking about vocational training, and um, pretty much all of our students or anyone with disability, they end up becoming adults and they need jobs. I mean, I know it depends on, I guess, severity of the disability, if they can and can't work, but we need to have equal opportunity for all of our students and our individuals. And it seems like, they're always talking about, disability type services when it comes to intellectual disabilities, learning disabilities, when it comes to children, but they don't talk about that with adults, or, how do you transition into adulthood and vocational training and having a job and stuff like that. So, the podcast also talks about how you kind of have to meet halfway. I mean, there are people with disabilities like intellectual disabilities or, autism, and they can work on skills with socializing, but also the employers need to be able to meet halfway. I mean, I understand, you may think that looking you straight in the eye when someone's talking to you is a sign of respect, but it could be making somebody very uncomfortable. And maybe they can have a full conversation without looking you in the eye and tell you exactly what needs to be said. So accommodations need to be met, compassion needs to be met, and training for those things need to be done in an employer setting. So there needs to be more training for the employers, because if the person with the disability is trying to do all the work, I mean, it's hard when an employer is set in one way. So there needs to be a little bit more open-mindedness when it comes to accommodations. But I think we're better than where we've been in the past, but we're not where we should be. And this podcast talks about that. And it's very important to remember that. Remember that the students or individuals with disabilities, they do become adults. And I really like that. I worked for a facility in Arkansas before. I worked for the child development center part, but they had an adult portion too for those with disabilities, and they actually had a contract with places like Walmart for them to be able to have jobs with. And it was really great. The podcast here also talks about the fact that the people with disabilities get paid less, and it's not fair. So we need to have equal opportunities for all individuals, even those with disabilities. They shouldn't be limited. I mean, I understand if maybe they aren't qualified for a job, that's one thing, because someone else without a disability may also not qualify, but they all need to have the same respect and equal treatment as everyone else. So if you get a chance to listen to this, that would be great. And I really like this episode. Thanks.